Hi everybody, welcome very much to the channel. Today, let's talk about this very interesting astrological alignment that we are now finishing. We're talking about the new moon, but this new moon event was very special because we had a new moon in Leo for the second time, so the second wave of new moon in Leo, and right after that we had new moon in Virgo. So here we have something that very rarely occurs, which is in the first place a second wave of the new moon, because we already had the new moon in Leo earlier in the Leo season, and now we have a second new moon in Leo, and then we have a new moon in Virgo. So two new moons in a row after a second wave of a new moon. It's very interesting, and let's explore that. Before we start, leave a like and subscribe. Your support is greatly appreciated, and use the links down below to know more about my content and to reach me for consultations and readings. First, let's realize that this second wave of the new moon in Leo gave us a chance to refresh our intentions and visions about how you want to see the world, be seen by the world, and how you want to act and express yourself in order to attract and maintain attention, validation, creativity, pleasure, and spiritual profit. Also, keep in mind that it was the second new moon in Leo this year, like I mentioned earlier, so this was different than normal new moons because we already planted the seeds on the first new moon in Leo and watched them grow until the cycle concluded, and now you are experiencing that space again. But the seeds already there. The seeds already have grown, and some of them already have been collected for your profit, right? So this is just about refreshing that space and directing your intentions from that new moon in Leo space into the real new moon, the new moon in Virgo. With the new moon in Virgo in its own place, we have the opportunity to plant new seeds, start new cycles, and set new intentions to be organized, profitable, efficient, structured, and safe in a mutable way in areas that deal with reality, responsibility, limits, boundaries, and support systems for yourself or others around you or organizations, other types of structure, a system that you're a part of, your family is a part of, all those Virgo like things. And because there was a new moon in Leo before this new moon in Virgo, there is more emphasis than usual in taking the Virgo new seeds and water them with your emotions, intentions, and actions with more pleasure, attention, entertainment, and your own uniqueness and individuality. In general, this is a great opportunity to make your entertainment, your attention, your validation, your creativity, and your pleasure more real, more organized, more flexible to achieve security, profit, and efficiency in your personal and creative areas while making something real that can support you and your routines and patterns. And very, very important, that is based, it came out from your fixed visions, actions, and expressions about uniqueness and individuality, about creativity, pleasure, and attention. So it's a really good opportunity to make routines, to make patterns, to make work more pleasurable, more like you, or more accordingly to your visions, more spiritual and more creative. All right? And remember that in general, new moon in Virgo, it's always about planting new seeds to be more organized and more structured, but in a mutable and flexible way without sacrificing, in the good cases, your limits and boundaries and your core set of values. On the negative way, you can feel too nervous, you can feel not supported at all, you can feel you have no work being done, you might feel not efficient, you might go crazy a little bit and think you have no values, thinking that your actions, that your routines have no value, or think that you yourself have no values as immoral or monetary or societal or unique values. But it's okay, it's an empty space and it's up to us to fulfill it. So it's up to us to make that value. It's up to us to create in our mind and in our emotions that we have value. It's in your own responsibility to take the Leo energy, fixed sun, fixed fire, and shed or even create a fixed light, a fixed vision about your uniqueness. about your individuality, about your value, about your creativity, passion, frustration, aggressiveness, attention, validation. So it's normal to feel empty or to feel stressed or deorganized, but it's not normal to let it be that way. It's up to you to now take those feelings and emotions and the emptiness, which is totally normal for this event, and fulfill it with something, like I said earlier, more attention, more entertaining, more exciting, and then transmute that into something more practical, more routine like, and that respects your core set of values, your limits and boundaries, and that you can build or associate yourself into a support system. And now, I took a tarot card for this event, and it's for both New Moon in Leo second wave plus New Moon in Virgo. And we got the Hierophant. The Hierophant is a very cool metaphor because it's about you as a spirit, as a creator. You transform yourself or you get yourself into a desire, into a mentality, into an emotion that is way more real, that is way more animalistic, that is way more focused in one specific thing. And the goal is to learn aspects about your own spirit or about the world that you are living in right now so you can have more security, more profit, and more pleasure. But the thing is, going through the Hierophant circumstance, sometimes spirits forget that they are the creator. They forget that they are the spirit, and then they start to identify and they start to be way more the desire, the thing that the spirit created and transformed itself into, than the spirit itself. So make sure to go deep within this learning lesson, go deep within reality, pleasure, structure, organization, but remember that all that is for the sake of your spirit, is for the sake of you understanding how you create something and to do it better. Don't get too attached to the creation. Don't think that you are the creation. Don't think that you are the thing. You are what creates the thing. You are the creator. Always keep that in mind for any cases forever. In all realities, in all times, you are the creator, a creator. And all of us together create worlds. You know what I'm saying? And then I took the Dragon Oracle card as well to see how to spiritually be more efficient with the Hierophant. And it is the Earth and Fire Dragon. So here it's to bring more practicality, safety, security, and privacy to your expressions, visions, actions, pleasure, creativity, and entertainment, and vice versa. Bring more passion, more creativity, and more uniqueness to your routines, to your patterns, to your limits, to your boundaries, and to your safety. So here it's really to achieve a balance between organization and fun, and not do one and then do the other, or work hard early in the day, rest and play hard later in the day. No, it's making responsibilities fun and making fun something that gives you profit, that gives you structure, that makes you easier to organize things around you. You know, it's not about separating these things in order to achieve balance in your life. It's about using the mutable element of Virgo and merge the Leo and the Virgo aspects together so you don't need to be sacrificing your fun to have stability, and you don't need to sacrifice your stability to have more creativity and spirituality. And now, let's see how the new moon in Virgo on its own is aligning the rest of the natal chart. Right now, the moon in Virgo is in 28 degrees, so we're already ending this chapter of new moon in Leo, new moon in Virgo, but remember that we receive energy late. In the spiritual realm, we create things first, and then it takes a couple of processes and a couple of time for us, our mind and our emotions, to perceive and be aware and affected by it. And at the same time, it's always better to look at new moon events and even full moon events after you experience them. Because if you're always too aware, if you're always making too many conclusions, you're not really experiencing the spirituality and true nature of those events. Of course, it's always good to be aware, especially Moon in Virgo, Capricorn, Taurus, Earth like elements. Be precise in your conclusions. But in the end of the day, you gotta go through things first and then you take conclusions and learn about them. You experience first and then you obtain wisdom and knowledge. You know what I'm saying? So, New Moon in Virgo right now, is fatal attracting Mercury in Leo. So that means that the new seeds that we are planting right now about stability and practicality on a mutable way can benefit from a more fixed and entertaining mindset and ways to think, communicate, and analyze. But in the other way, you might be too blind to the world around you, to your talents, to others' values, and to the circumstances that you are in because you too focused in communicating, thinking, and analyzing about your light, your expressions, and your own visions, and they might not give enough space and attention to these new circumstances and new mutable ways to achieve profit, efficiency, and security. Also, Venus is now transiting from Cancer into Leo. So, in one side, the past side, we have a sextile between Venus and the new moon in Virgo, where we are creating new emotions, new feelings, new spiritual purposes, and new spiritual spaces of comfort. And that was an opportunity to drive those values into new organizations, new practicality, new stress, and new physical, realistic, out there related insecurities. At the same time, through our relationships and our values, we could bring more value, new values, or more wise values to then make a routine or make something practical out of that. Now, into the future side, we'll have more fixed and consistent actions, expressions, and visions that deal with uniqueness, individuality, attention, and pleasure. And we're going to be more connected to relationships, exchanges, and connections where we can validate or commit to ourselves or others unique values, creativity, and perspectives. So that is a fatal attraction to the new moon in Virgo. So Venus here is bringing both Cancer and Leo energy. And on the Leo side, we have here an opportunity through our relationships and the sharing of our values to bring more attention, more pleasure, efficiency on a spiritual level, or more blindness or too much egotistical natures to new routines and new patterns that can give us efficiency, practicality, and security. Then we have Mars in Libra, also fatal attracting the new moon in Virgo. So that means we can bring new logical, sophisticated, or connected to society passions, frustrations, anger, and frustration that we want to value or be valued by in a more light, disconnected, but at the same time social and dealing with relationship way. So our passions and frustrations that most likely will be dealing with society, thought process, thought systems, thought schools, what is going on in your surroundings can go into our internal aspect and make us feel the need to create new routines or new patterns to address, avoid, or control those new passions, frustration, anger, and motivation that deals with new societal, intellectual, and sophistication topics. After that, we have Jupiter in Cancer, sextiling the new moon in Virgo. This is an opportunity to build new routines and patterns, new organization systems, or new mental stress and mental insecurities about new expansions, new travels, and new ways to obtain wisdom and knowledge about your own ability to create emotions, mood, and waves, or about your own ability to create new ways to travel in emotional and spiritual realms. So this can be really good, as in you can bring more reality and you can relate to the world in a more relatable and profitable way, your wisdom and knowledge in a new expansive way, or you can be creating new mental mazes for you to get lost into because you can't or you don't see yourself, you didn't build the structure and the image about yourself that you can handle the new wisdom and knowledge, you can handle the new expansion, the new spiritual practices, the new spiritual purposes or places of comfort. So you feel the need to create a mental system that prioritizes reality and ignores those spiritual things that can seem out of reality and in some cases are, but then it's your responsibility, if you are aware and attracted to those things, to make them real, to make them into a place where you and others can be relatable about it and can share it as a type of support system, mentally, emotionally, or physically. But a great opportunity to bring those new expansions into your routines and patterns. Then we have Saturn in Aries, retrograde though, and that's in conjuncting the new moon in Virgo. So that means we might be misunderstanding this new cycle about routines and patterns when it comes to constructing or associating with structures, networking, and association that deals with new passions, new motivation, new aggressiveness, new frustration, new deep desires, and that are coming out from or are surrounding your personal interests, personal insecurities, and personality in general. So that means that here, if you can go through the in conjunction, if you can go through the misunderstanding, you can create new routines and patterns that bring reality, that bring support, and bring efficiency, so you can bring these new worlds out of your desires, out of your uniqueness, and out of your own personal space into reality. So you can have that routine, you can have that profit, and have that sense of purpose, uniqueness, and it is your world and it is your reality. But you or others might be misunderstanding either the new world that Saturn is helping us bring in, or they might be misunderstanding how they feel about how you show them what's possible or not to achieve in reality by bringing the world, by bringing structure out of your own personal space. Then you have Uranus in Gemini squaring the new moon in Virgo. So we are learning how to feel real, how to feel organized, stressed, insecure, or just too focused on reality about new change, rebelliousness, and opposition that is being brought in a more mutable, flexible, logical, cold, detached, and surface level way. So we are learning how to, if you are too focused in reality, if you are too focused on limits and boundaries and maintaining an acceptable way of living or way to be organized, you can learn here how to have a that same routine, that same security, that same structure, but lighter, more communicative, more easier to connect and change and transmute. And on the other side, we also can learn how to feel more secure, more structured without losing the flexibility and without losing the social connectiveness, but knowing how to limit and boundary that connection, that ability to socialize in order to preserve and expand our own core set of values, security, and efficiency. Then we have Neptune in Aries, also misunderstanding in conjuncting the new moon in Virgo, so a misunderstanding new feelings and emotions about reality and structure when it comes to being aware or exposed to new actions, expressions, feelings, passions, motivation, anger, and frustration that are now being perceived for the first time, but that they were already a part of this big subconscious archetype, big subconscious trauma, gift, curse, or just a specific way to do something, but that is characteristic to a big group of spirits, so including you. So we might be misunderstanding how to process that in a realistic way. We might be misunderstanding how to apply that into reality in a relatable, efficient, and profitable way. But in the end of the day, that's kind of where the bigger purpose is in understanding your own personal part and space in this big archetypal big group of spirits, and then build a limit, a boundary, an efficient system that can be flexible and structured at the same time that belongs to you. It's kind of like Saturn, your own world, but on a bigger scale, on a spiritual scale, where you can feel a part of this big spiritual group while having your own space and being able to transmute and transmit between both without losing yourself, the limits, the boundaries, the security, or the purpose. And lastly but not least, we have New Moon in Virgo, also misunderstanding in conjuncting Pluto in Aquarius. So, misunderstanding how to create new routines and patterns, new profit and efficient systems when it comes to transforming, traveling into the new world. which will be Pluto in Aquarius, which is about transforming, resolving issues and traumas, participating in struggles and tug of war situations for you to have your own system and your own world where you can express your unique mind, your unique reality, and your unique situation. Or on the other side, you being able to associate with a community or with a leader that has their own unique mind, and you can associate your own unique mind or circumstances to that space, to that structure. So, in general, to create a world where there will be way more unique communities, way more celebrities, way more hubs, way more schools of thought that are unique and about specific, unique situations and realities. But then all of them come together to bring purpose and more humanitarian natures. Or on the negative side, it's going to be what people are doing a bit about right now, the extremeness of AI, the extremeness of coldness, the extremeness of corporation. But that was what we are reacting right now, what was being built up in Capricorn, which is more internal, a bit more dark, so we're not so sure, because Aquarius has way more that humanitarian purpose, and the whole world will be connecting into that humanitarian purpose while looking for unique, logical, realistic, but still flexible and inspiring world changing movements. So, right now, with the new moon in Virgo, we are looking into creating routines and patterns that can guide us into that space without losing the structure, the efficiency, or the profit, and the misunderstanding comes from there. We have this big achievement, but we want to be stable and secure at the same time. And it's totally possible. Just need to work our way out into that space. And that's going to be everything for today. Thank you for watching, and I see you on the next time.